Daniel Reryes was 38 years old and exhausted. Every morning, he woke up at 4:30 a.m. By 6 a.m., he was standing inside a crowded bus on his way to the warehouse where he worked as a clerk. For 15 years, his life followed the same routine. Work, pay bills, borrow money, repeat. His salary vanished almost immediately. Rent, electricity, food, transportation, school expenses, medicine for his aging mother. There was never enough. Whenever Daniel managed to save a little money, disaster struck. A hospital bill, a broken refrigerator, a family emergency. Life seemed determined to keep him poor. At night, he often watched his wife Maria sitting at the kitchen table, calculating expenses. Sometimes she quietly wiped tears from her eyes. Daniel pretended not to notice. Seeing her cry made him feel like he had failed. One evening he whispered, "I wish I could give you and the children a better life." Maria reached for his hand. "You already give us everything you can." But Daniel knew she deserved more. Several weeks later, Daniel received unexpected news. His grandfather had died years earlier, but legal paperwork had finally been completed. An abandoned house in the province now belonged to him. Nobody wanted it. The house was old and forgotten. Still, Daniel decided to visit. The property sat alone beside a hill surrounded by tall trees. Dust covered every room. Broken furniture filled the corners. While cleaning the attic, Daniel discovered a strange wooden cabinet. Unlike everything else in the house, it appeared untouched by time. Its dark wood gleamed. Strange symbols were carved into its doors. Curious, Daniel opened it. Nothing. Just empty shelves. Disappointed, he continued cleaning. Before leaving, he casually placed a 1,000 pesos bill inside. Mostly as a joke. The next morning Daniel returned. When he opened the cabinet, he froze. Inside were two 1,000 pesos bills. Not one, two. He counted repeatedly. His hands trembled. The cabinet had somehow duplicated the money. For days he tested it. 100 pesos became 200 pesos. 500 pesos became 1,000 pesos. 5,000 pesos became 10,000 pesos. Every 24 hours, whatever money was inside doubled. It was impossible, yet it was real. Daniel had discovered something miraculous. Something capable of changing his life forever. Most people would have bought luxury cars, expensive watches, designer clothes. Daniel chose differently. First, he repaired the leaking roof. Then he replaced broken appliances. After that, he paid every debt his family owed. Credit cards, personal loans, borrowed money from relatives, everything. For the first time in years, his family slept peacefully. The burden was gone. The fear was gone. The constant anxiety had disappeared. Their home felt lighter, happier. Hope returned. As the money multiplied, Daniel became cautious. He knew fortunes could disappear overnight. Instead of spending wildly, he began studying. Every evening after work he read books about finance, investing, economics, leadership, business management, real estate. He learned an important lesson. Wealthy people do not spend money first. They buy assets. Assets create income. Income creates freedom. That lesson changed his life. As Daniel quietly accumulated wealth, people began asking questions. How could a warehouse clerk suddenly pay off all his debts? How could he afford investments? Rumors spread. Some claimed he had won the lottery. Others whispered darker theories. One afternoon, two strangers approached him outside a store. "We've been watching you," one of them said. Daniel felt his stomach tighten. "Watching me for what?" The man smiled. "People don't become rich this fast without a secret." Daniel laughed nervously and walked away. But that night he couldn't sleep. For the first time, he realized the cabinet could be dangerous. The next weekend Daniel returned to the old house. Using savings, he secretly built a hidden underground room beneath the property. Only he knew the entrance. Inside, he placed the cabinet. He installed locks, security cameras, steel doors. The cabinet remained safe, but Daniel felt uneasy. The miracle that promised freedom now carried risk. Months later Daniel arrived at the old house and found the front door broken open. His heart nearly stopped. Furniture had been overturned, cabinets emptied, drawers smashed. Someone had searched the house. Daniel raced to the hidden room. With shaking hands, he opened the secret entrance. The cabinet was still there, untouched. Relief flooded through him, but fear followed. Someone had been looking, and they might return. Daniel realized wealth alone was not security. Preparation was. Before making major investments, he built an emergency fund covering 5 years of family expenses. Most people thought it was excessive. Daniel disagreed. He had spent too much of his life living one paycheck away from disaster. For the first time, losing his job no longer terrified him. That confidence changed everything. Daniel invested heavily in education. His daughter Sophia dreamed of becoming a doctor. His son Marco wanted to become an engineer. He hired tutors, bought books, purchased computers, paid for training programs. Years later, Sophia graduated with top honors. As she walked across the stage, Daniel cried. This was worth more than any luxury car. Daniel purchased a small convenience store. Friends laughed. You have millions and that's what you buy. Daniel smiled. The store generated income. Luxury items consumed money. Businesses created money. Within a year, profits doubled. He bought another store, then another. Soon he owned 10. Each provided jobs and steady income. The foundation of an empire had been laid. One evening, a wealthy businessman named Victor Salazar requested a private meeting. Victor had a reputation for getting whatever he wanted. After dinner, he leaned forward. I know you're hiding something. Daniel remained silent. Victor slid a check across the table. The amount was enormous. I'll pay any price for your secret. Daniel pushed it back. No. Victor's smile vanished. You'll regret that. For the first time, Daniel felt truly threatened. Months later, Daniel noticed suspicious vehicles near his son's school. The same van appeared repeatedly. Then one afternoon it happened. Several men attempted to force Marco into a vehicle. Fortunately, a nearby security guard intervened. The criminals fled. Marco was unharmed, but Daniel was shaken to his core. His family was no longer safe. That night he considered destroying the cabinet forever. Daniel drove alone to the old house. The cabinet waited silently in the hidden room. He stared at it for hours. The cabinet had given him wealth, but it had also brought danger, temptation, fear, greed. Finally he made a decision. He would continue using the cabinet. Not for himself, for others. If he was going to bear the burden of its power, it would serve a greater purpose. Over the next 15 years, Daniel acquired businesses across multiple industries: logistics companies, food distributors, construction suppliers, warehouses, agricultural operations, manufacturing facilities. Unlike many owners, Daniel focused on employees. He improved working conditions, raised wages, provided training, created advancement opportunities. Workers became loyal, productivity increased, profits soared. Daniel began investing in land, apartments, boarding houses, farmland, vacant lots. People mocked him. The land seemed worthless. Years later, highways were built. Cities expanded. Developments appeared. Property values skyrocketed. One property purchased for 500,000 pesos became worth 25 million pesos. His wealth grew rapidly. One day Daniel visited his old neighborhood. The poverty remained. Children still dropped out of school. Families still struggled. Hope was still scarce. Daniel remembered exactly how it felt. That day he established the Reryes Foundation. The foundation offered scholarships, housing assistance, medical support, small business loans, skills training. Thousands of lives changed. Entire communities escaped poverty. Daniel never forgot his mother's illness. He remembered the long journeys to find affordable treatment. So he built a community hospital. Then another, and another. Families who once traveled hours for healthcare could finally receive treatment nearby. Lives were saved every day. Education came next. Daniel funded schools in poor provinces. Modern classrooms, libraries, computer laboratories, scholarship programs. Students who once saw no future became doctors, engineers, scientists, teachers, and entrepreneurs. Many later returned to help their communities. The impact multiplied across generations. Years later, Marco accidentally discovered the hidden room. The cabinet stood before him. He stared in shock. So this is where everything started. Daniel nodded. Marco was silent for a long moment. Then he smiled. Dad, the cabinet didn't make you successful. Daniel looked surprised. What do you mean? Marco replied, the cabinet gave you money. But money alone doesn't build hospitals. It doesn't educate children. It doesn't create jobs. It doesn't make good decisions. You could have wasted everything. You could have become greedy. You could have destroyed your life. The real magic wasn't the cabinet. The real magic was you. Daniel smiled. For the first time, he understood. 78 years old, Daniel sat on the balcony of his home overlooking the city. His businesses employed tens of thousands. His schools educated thousands more. His hospitals served entire regions. His foundation continued helping families. The cabinet still existed, but he rarely used it. His empire no longer depended on magic. It stood on knowledge, discipline, integrity, hard work, and service. One evening he opened the cabinet for what he believed would be the final time. Inside rested a folded note. He had never seen it before. Slowly he unfolded it. The message read, "Money is not the reward. What you become while using it is the reward." Daniel sat quietly. A lifetime of lessons suddenly became clear. The cabinet had never been a gift. It had been a test. A test of character. A test of wisdom. A test of whether wealth would make him selfish, or make him useful. And at last, he understood. When Daniel Reryes passed away, tens of thousands attended his funeral. Employees, students, doctors, teachers, business owners, families, people whose lives had changed because of his kindness. Some remembered him as a billionaire. Others remembered him as a visionary entrepreneur. But most remembered him as something greater. A man who proved that true wealth is not measured by how much you keep. It is measured by how many lives improve because you lived. And so an ordinary warehouse clerk, given an extraordinary opportunity, transformed not only his own future, but the future of countless others. The end. Moral. Money alone does not create success. Wisdom, discipline, courage, and generosity transform wealth into a lasting legacy.